we should really talk about Mothman. I mean, we kind of were talking about Mothman. We should probably get back to it. By the way, this is Wicked Darkness. And Kathy and Debbie were talking, and we're talking about Mothman. If you haven't figured that out by now, plus some other stuff, but that's what we do on here. Got to keep everybody on their toes. So you were talking about Mothman, from the 60s. That was kind of like when he first was
on the scene.
Yeah. But he's not from this area. He's from like the East Coast. He's from West Virginia.
Yeah.
And because I've been putting it on YouTube. So people that are watching, I'm wearing my Mothman shirt. And I have my Mothman. Do you remember seeing this at the Paracon?
No.
You didn't see this?
God.
Yeah, I got a Mothman. Yes, I'm that person. So I got a Mothman, and I got a Bigfoot somewhere in here that Scotty got at Paracon. But I was like, how appropriate for me to bring my Mothman, because normally he's sitting in my hutch and kind of collecting, not really collecting dust in there, but sort of collecting dust in there. But it was kind of cool, though. The people that made him, I don't even know who it is anymore. I don't have their card anymore, but they're there at our Paracon in Milwaukee every year. And they put like this little note with it. So it says the Mothman. It gives a definition of the Mothman. And on here it says, on November 15th, 1966, two young couples from Point Pleasant, West Virginia, Roger and Linda Scarberry, and Steve and Mary Malte, told police that they saw a large gray creature with eyes that glowed red when their car's headlights picked it up. They described it as a large flying man with 10-foot wings following their car while they were driving in the area outside of town as the TNT area, quote unquote, the site of the former World War II munition plant. So he comes with his little backstory of how he became who he is. Yeah, I'm a dork. What can I say? And my son also got Krampus, because I have a Krampus one too. So, but yeah, so they're saying that he is this flying red-eyed creature who's like 6 to 7 feet tall, bipedal, humanoid, moth-like creature with glowing eyes, a man with wings. And these 4 people were driving down the road, and their headlights catch this thing. Now, again, this is in the 60s. So like we were talking about before, there's no internet. They don't know anything about this creature. Nobody knows anything about it.
Yep.
So they go and tell the cops, because they were saying while they were driving, they got up to like 100 miles an hour. And this thing was keeping up with them. I don't know how fast. I'm not a car person like that, so I don't know how fast cars got up to in the 1966.
Probably almost 200 miles an hour.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, because I don't know. But I mean, that's really fast. I mean, birds nowadays can't even keep up with our cars. So this thing is keeping up with them. Obviously, they're scared. It's dark out. They don't know what the hell this thing is. And so they were near the abandoned National Guard Armory building and power plant.
There you go.
There you go. And they saw this creature. So they were on, I don't know where this is, but obviously Point Pleasant, West Virginia, State Route 62. Some highway out there.
Yeah.
And they were going into town, and this thing stayed with them the whole flipping time. So, I mean, I could see them like freaking out about it. And then there were some other people that saw it. This one woman saw this thing. She had a German Shepherd. It was a couple of years later. She had a German Shepherd, and it went running into the woods. Did you see about that at all?
No.
So this German Shepherd went running into the woods like all dogs do. My dog discovered rabbits this morning and started chasing after that. So this German Shepherd saw something in the woods and chased after it. it's hunting, so it's going to naturally do that. Goes in the woods, they go running after the thing, after the dog, and they see footprints of the paw prints of the dog circling. There's circle, 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 and then all of a sudden the dog prints stop, and they never saw the dog again. So it was like it was lifted up and taken away. So a German Shepherd is a big dog. I mean, my dogs are bigger dogs, you know, medium to large dogs.
Right.
And, you know, and my son has a German Shepherd. So when she's next to my dogs, she towers over them. And she's even small for a German Shepherd. So that's a big dog. Like I've seen eagles and I've seen hawks grab dogs, but they're usually like the smaller dogs.
Yeah.
But to grab a German Shepherd.
And they're usually fearless.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
You
what do
know?
we see? Canine units, they're usually using German Shepherds.
Yeah.
Or a form of German Shepherds. So, you know, for them to just see the circle and then no more paw prints, it's gone, and then never see their dog again. A dog usually, if they're going to get injured, they're going to run back home.
Yeah.
You know, or you're going to see some kind of struggle. You'll see blood or something like that, but they didn't have anything. So what was it that took her dog away? They said it was this winged creature, which if Mothman is what they say it is, if he's humanoid and he's that big, he's 6 to 7 feet tall, like they say average man, but I don't know if 6 feet tall is average for men. I don't know.
I don't know. I think it is average.
Maybe.
So
my husband's close to 6 feet. My sons are 6 feet. So I guess, I don't know. I don't know what's average anymore. But you think of them and they can pick up a dog. They can pick up a German Shepherd with no problem.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so, but to pick it up and then not have any tracks, not even footprints. If a guy,
go ahead.
If a guy or even another animal picked up this dog, when there be footprints of or paw prints of something, even if it was like a bear.
Yeah, and you would think that if something grabbed the dog, he would start barking.
Right.
You know, like he's in pain or he's scared or something.
Right.
And if nothing like that happened.
Because I know with my dog, she doesn't like men. Sorry, men. My little Susie does not like men. She was abused by one before we got her. So she makes it known that she does not like men. She will bark and growl and snarl and everything else. So I'm assuming that this thing, if it went chasing after whatever it saw in the woods, it was doing the same thing.
Right.
So I don't know. So then fast forward, not too far, like about a year, December of 1967, there was a bridge, a silver bridge. It was a bridge that was created in 1928, and it was the link between the Ohio side and West Virginia side. So it went over the Ohio River. And in 1967, there was a creature that was seen at the site of this bridge when it collapsed. And that's where the Mothman came into play as being like bad omen or the bringer of doom. And then the locals took to the streets because when the bridge collapsed, it killed over 40 people.
Wow.
So the locals took to the streets, and not the pitchforks and the flames and the torches and all that stuff. They went with shotguns and they went on a hunt for this thing. And they went to the woods and they went to the streets and they're looking for this winged creature with the red glowing eyes. So why they went to the woods is because the creature is said to reside in the local World War II TNT bunkers. And that's where it's supposed to, have its little nest, or where it stays out of sight. It's a little home. And these bunkers, they are off in a distance. I mean, you have to park your car and then you have to walk down. And I just saw today, now they have like a van that they do tours to the TNT bunkers. And I know people that went out there and they were told when they go to the bunkers that it's in an area that people hunt nowadays anyway. So for them to wear bright colors like orange or, yellow or something like that, so they stand out and they don't look like a deer or anything.
Yeah.
And they, you have to walk, and it's not just one bunker. There's like several in a row. And you go inside, you can go inside some of these and there's nothing in there. They're empty, but they're like, I guess you could say there are like little caves, but little mounds, I should say. They're like mounds. Not little, like you would think a shed, but a little bigger than that. Like a garage. Maybe 2 garages put together, and that's what it looks like. And that's a short distance outside of town. And of course the locals know where it is and they will tell you, but they don't recommend that you go out there because, like I said, it's like a hunting thing. So, but like I said, today I saw on their little website that they are starting tours with the buses to take you out there. So I don't know. The town itself isn't big. It's like 5,000 people, but they have like a festival every year. And
don't they have a statue in the middle of the street too of Mothman?
Yes. And there's a webcam. Like you can go on there. It's called the Moth Cam. So if you go on, there's the Mothman Museum.
Yeah.
A link on there. And it says Moth Cam. And it shows, like, you can see people that are going to the Mothman statue, and you can watch them and see what they're doing or whatever. But yeah, I understand that because, I mean, it's a piece of art that is treasured there, obviously. And so they protect it. So I understand having a webcam there. It's just kind of funny that they call it the Moth Cam. But they have, let me see, on the statue itself, they have a little thing on here on the base of it. It says, on a chilly fall night in November 1966, 2 young couples drove into the TNT area north of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when they realized they were not alone. What they saw that night has evolved into one of the greatest mysteries of all time. Hence, the Mothman legend or legacy began. It has grown into a phenomenon known all around the world by millions of curious people asking questions. What really happened? What did these people see? Has it been seen since? It still sparks the world's curiosity and the mystery behind Point Pleasant, West Virginia's Mothman. And the sculpture and the artist and sculptor is Bob Roach from New Haven, West Virginia. And that's the little plaque that's underneath the statue. So
that's just wild.
Right? So like I said, they have this festival and the town is less than 5,000 people. I mean, it's a tiny little town. Everybody knows everybody. But when they have this festival, which is the 3rd weekend in September every year, there are over 15,000 souls that show up. It's like 3 times the amount of people that live there.
Yeah.
It just like swells with all these people. I don't know where they all stay because, it's not a big town. It kind of,
but there's got to be bigger city close by, I would think.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, they're right on the border. So, I mean, there's Ohio.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they could go there. So this year, if anybody is interested in going to Point Pleasant, West Virginia, this year's festival is set for September 16th and 17th, 2023. Anybody wants to go? There you go.
Mhm.
Of course, I can't go because it's my daughter's birthday, so I can't go. Dang it. Granted,
Yeah.
she probably would allow me to go if she could go. So I don't know.
Have to wait and see.
Right? So, there's been like a lot of talk about this town. Like I was reading an article, Gettysburg time. Yeah, say that 3 times fast. Gettysburg, if people don't know, it's in Pennsylvania. I don't know how you don't know, and you obviously didn't pay attention in U.S. history. But that's where the Civil War was. And yes, this is all on the East Coast. So you have Revolutionary War, you have the French and Indian War, you have the Civil War, the War of, I don't know, whatever else we got going on. There's all these wars that were around that side because that's the beginning of our country, is on the East Coast. So Gettysburg, their newspaper reported that there was 8 additional sightings just 3 days after the first claims in West Virginia. And this is where 2 volunteer firefighters from Gettysburg both saw a very large bird with large red eyes. I don't know. Could it be a Mothman?
Well, then in their mind, it's still fresh from those 4 people. So in their mind, they've already got a picture of what this creature looks like. So if they go out driving and they could have seen a bat or some other big bird, like a hawk or whatever, and automatically assumed that's the Mothman.
Well, and that's the thing. This part I didn't look up. So did they, because we talked about how the internet was not a thing back then. I know you Generation Zs and millennials, we did live without internet. I know it's hard for people to understand, but yes, there was no internet. There were no cell phones. There were no computers. The computers that they had were like the size of a building, because, or at least the size of a wall. So it wasn't something that you could have on a desk and, take it from here to there very easily. You pretty much had to have a semi to move it. So saying all that, did the people in Gettysburg, did they get that information 3 days later? I mean, was it yes, we had TV, we had radio and all that stuff. So could they have heard it then? Possibly. I mean,
well, they had telephones back then.
Mm-hmm.
So, if mom calls the daughter and the daughter tells the next door neighbor, pretty soon you've got a humongous monster on your hands,
Right. Hi, Leah.
Sorry. A whole half hour late this time.
No, you're fine. You're fine. We were just chit-chatting before anyway. So we're just talking about the Mothman. Right now we're talking about the 3 days after the initial sighting of Mothman in 1967. There was 2 volunteer firefighters in Gettysburg that saw a very large bird with red eyes. And we were talking about how we didn't have internet back then. We had TV, we had radio, we had telephones, not cell phones, but telephones. So I mean, again, Gettysburg is not that big of a town either. And yeah, I know now they have all that stuff available to them, but I don't know how much they had available back in the 60s. I don't know how big Gettysburg was then. I mean, I was there a couple years back and it's still not a big town. It's still very small. But to see a very large bird with large red eyes, and that's exactly what these 4 people in Point Pleasant, West Virginia saw, flying next to their car at 100 miles an hour. I don't know. Is it the same thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
But here's the thing. So there's a Dr. Robert L. Smith. He's an associate professor of wildlife biology at West Virginia University. He says the Mothman sightings can be actually a bird that is known as a sandhill crane. Sandhill crane. He says a sandhill crane stands almost as tall as an average man and has bright red flesh, not eyes, but flesh around its eyes. But when I saw the picture of the crane is white, not black. And all these accounts are saying that this is a black creature. See? Yeah. Right. Yeah, I have my little Mothman. He's black with red eyes and these wings.
Well, we have sandhill cranes that come in our backyard, and we've seen them white. Right now they are like a light red, and we've also seen them gray. So I think their fur or their coat changes with the seasons.
Okay.
You know, and they've let me get up close to them, but I don't remember their eyes, you know, having red around their eyes or their eyes being red.
Right.
But
And I've seen them flying over my house. You know,
yeah.
They're very, again, like 2020 hit. We were talking about 2020 and COVID hit, and all of a sudden, like all these animals, all this wildlife starts running rampant around the streets in neighborhoods that we never saw these creatures before, not in the city, but like you'd have to go to a forestry and you would be able to see them, or whatever, a wildlife area, but you wouldn't normally see them in the, you know, normal suburbs of, or even the urban areas of a city. But now you got bears that are running around in Milwaukee County. You got cougars or bobcats. I don't remember what it was.
There was a cougar a couple of years ago. It walked right up to the person's house and looked in their living room window.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's things that normally we don't see. So, and we were talking about how we have all this woods around in the country, in the world. We don't know what's all out there. I mean, we don't know what's in our oceans. And so who's to say we missed something in our forests? And could this have been it? Or did we create it from the pollution that we put in the water? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, it could be some chemicals or whatever that if a bird were to drink the water or whatever, it might malform.
But when
totally opposite of what it should.
When I see the cranes that are flying overhead, I can tell that it's an actual crane, though. That's the thing. I mean, they're thin. They're when they're flying, they're not this manly looking humanoid thing.
No, they're small.
Yeah. So I don't know. Leo, what do you think?
It's a hoax and a joke, and there's no such thing.
There you go.
That's how I feel.
Well, we were talking about, okay, so they have a silver bridge in Point Pleasant that collapsed in December of 1967. And the bridge was built in 1928, connecting Point Pleasant, West Virginia to, I'm going to slaughter this. I'm very sorry, Ohioans, but Gallipolicey, something like that, or Gallipolicey, whatever. Anyway, Ohio and West Virginia. So in December, it's cold, you know, and so the bridge was packed with all these cars. But again, this bridge was built in 1928 when we had Model T cars. And those cars weighed about 1,500 pounds. And in 1967, we have these heavier cars. And even today, you know, those cars still are very heavy compared to what our cars are now. Because now we have plastic and aluminum, and they were made with metal and sheet metal, and, you know, they were if you're going to get into an accident, I'm going to take a 60s car over today's car any day, because you're going to survive that versus, I mean, yeah, we didn't have seatbelts back then, but it's fine. You're in a boat, you're fine. So you have the Model Ts that are 1,500 pounds, and then the 1960 cars that weigh 4,000 pounds each. And you've got a bridge that's full of these cars and people walking on this bridge, because apparently they had sidewalks or something. So there was a single eye bar near the top of the bridge on the Ohio side that cracked. The chain snapped, the bridge fell, the cars plunged, the pedestrians that were walking on it went into the icy waters of the Ohio River. They drowned or they froze, whatever it was, but that's how they died. But it was shortly after that they saw the Mothman, the black.
I thought they saw it before, like he was there the day before.
Maybe it was that,
as in an omen.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they were saying that he was like the bringer of doom and all that stuff, and I don't know. I don't know. I find it funny that it's like they link it to him and it's his problem. He did it, blah, blah, blah. But we don't know. It's like I said, it was an old bridge.
Yeah.
They're not made for these new cars. They put warnings out nowadays saying you can't weigh this amount to go over this bridge because you can collapse. I don't know. So is that what happened? Was it just that? Maybe. I don't know. But then there's like an author in 1975 that said the sightings of the Mothman also would coincide with UFOs and the Men in Black. So
the Men in Black.
Yeah, so the Men in Black is supposed to be a real thing.
Okay.
No, not Will Smith.
I was gonna say, like, are we talking about the movie?
Yeah, it's supposed to be about like that. Wherever these UFOs are and stuff like that, the Men in Black, they're supposed to actually. I don't remember what show I was watching. It was like kind of like an unsolved mystery thing, and these guys were dressed in black, and they went up to this guy and they were making him tell him the story or whatever, and then they're like, "You need to forget everything that you just told us." I don't remember exactly. I know it wasn't Unsolved Mystery, but it's similar to that.
Okay.
But yeah, they're supposed to be. They were dressed in black suits and all that stuff, and they were in a parking structure, whatever the show was. But yeah, these sightings are he says are coinciding with Men in Black and UFOs. And then 2002, the Mothman Prophecy movie starring Richard Gere. For those of you that don't know who Richard Gere is, he also plays in Pretty Woman with Julia Roberts. So you might know him from there. He plays a reporter whose wife may have seen the Mothman before she died. And then years later, he finds himself in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, but he has no recollection of how he got there. And he is not the only one. There's other people that are there too, and they don't remember how they got there either. And that's how the movie is. So, and that's supposed to go off of this author, John Keel, his book. That's how they got the Mothman Prophecy. And then, of course, that hit, and then Point Pleasant kind of like boomed, and everybody wanted to go see the Mothman. And then they created the Mothman Museum and everything. I don't know. But did you guys know about the curse of
There's
Point
a curse?
Pleasant?
No.
Yeah. So there's a curse from a Chief Cornstalk. No, that's not his actual name. It's just translated to Cornstalk, and so I figured that was easier to say than his actual name. But he put a curse on the town over 200 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. So like I was saying, the East Coast, what do we have? A lot of wars and stuff like that. Well, this was like around the Revolutionary War time. And there, we had the redcoats or the British that were here, and then we had the colonialists that were also known as Britain citizens, British citizens, but they were here, and we were fighting for our freedoms. Well, when we got here, there was also the Native American indigenous people that we took their land from them so that we could colonize the land ourselves. Well, some of them worked with us, some of them worked against us.
Mm-hmm.
Chief Cornstalk's tribe worked with us, and he was friends with us and everything. And so they had a fort close to Point Pleasant, and they were trying to get him to come and fight and work with them against the redcoats. And he just like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to get my people involved with that. And I want to say that his tribe was a Shawnee. And so he and his son and some other tribesmen voluntarily went to the fort and were held captive, but they were treated really well in their captivities. So there was two guys that were the colonialists, and they went outside the fort to go hunting, and they found these two men outside the fort, and they obviously were attacked by the Indians. And so the men took revenge on Chief Cornstalk and his fellow tribesmen that were staying at the fort at the time. They knew where they were. They knew that they have not left the fort. They have been in captivity this whole entire time, helping them out, writing like maps and stuff like that, and telling them, here's where the redcoats are. This is, helping them through the whole entire time. So these guys knew they never left the fort. But because they were the indigenous people, they took out their anger on them. And so they killed these guys, these captive people. And the last one they killed was Chief Cornstalk. And they blamed him for the double murder and everything. So Chief was shot 8 times. And while he laid on the floor, he spoke to his assassins. And he says, quote, I was the border man's friend. Many times I have saved him and his people from harm. I never warred with you, but only to protect our wigwams and land. I refuse to join your pale-faced enemies with the red coats. I came to your fort as I gotta find my thing, as a friend, and you murdered me. You have murdered by my side, my young son. For this may the curse of the Great Spirit rest upon this land. May it be blighted by nature. May it even be blighted into its hopes. May the strength of its people be paralyzed by the stain of our blood. And there was a whole crap load of things that happened to that area from 1777 all the way to like the 1900s. Plane crashes, natural disasters, all these things happen. And they're saying, and the poor guy, he never really got to rest in peace. So the other ones, they dumped their bodies in the river, but they buried the chief. But then, in the 1800s, they unburied him. And then he had like 3 teeth and 15 bones left of him. That was all that was left of him. And they put him in a box, and they put him in a cornerstone of this building area. Now, if you go to Point Pleasant, you'll see a statue of Chief Cornstalk. So they're saying that because of him, that's why the bridge collapse, because that was one of them. The bridge collapsing. Like I said, there was an airplane that crashed and killed, a bunch of people. They had what was the other one? They had flooding, tornadoes, stuff like that. So they're saying that that's from him and his curse. So I don't know. I mean, it sucks that he got killed and his son got killed and the rest of his tribesmen that were there that were helping him. They took out their anger on the wrong people, obviously. But, you reap what you sow, right?
Yep.
So that's all in West Virginia. But we live in the Midwest. And guess what?
Are you talking to me?
Mothman is here too. So I found an article, July 29th, 2017, Chicago Tribune. And they're saying that there were more than 20 sightings from April to July in 2017 in the Chicago area.
Of Mothman?
Of the Mothman. Yeah. So, they have one claiming that there was a woman that was walking her dog in Oz Park. I don't know where Oz Park is. And she, obviously it's in Chicagoland. But she was walking her dog in Oz Park when she came across a creature standing in the park. And she said she described him to be about 7 feet tall, and that he was solid black with a pair of large wings that were folded behind him or behind it. And she said that it like terrified her, that it was like looking at her, but kind of looking through her. And like, she says, like it was looking into her soul. And so that, she kind of went and, went to the police and told them what she had saw or whatever. And of course, what are they going to do? Because who is to say that that's what she actually saw? And then there was another account that came from a man fishing with his son along the Little Calumet River in Hedwich Park, where he saw a man-sized black bird around 7:30 p.m. on April 30th, 2017. And then another man walking his 6-year-old son in Calumet Park around 8 p.m. on May 5th, 2017, seen something very similar where he was, like standing in the park or whatever. And then in July of 2017, around 5 p.m. at the Willis Tower, which is formerly known as the Sears Tower, and I still call it Sears Tower until I die, I guess, because I just can't call it the tower. It just doesn't sound right. So there was a guy that, first of all, he was outside on the sidewalk, and he was outside a tavern. Let's put that out there, okay? So take it as you will. He says that he looks up at the top of the Willis Tower, and he sees at the top of the building, he sees this large figure with large wings perched at the top of the building. And then he says that it was standing he was standing on the sidewalk outside the building, and he sees a creature leap from the building and dips down just like, you would normally see a bird or anybody, skydiving or whatever. They go down, and then all of a sudden swoops towards the sky. It flaps its wings, and then it heads in the northern direction. That's where it stopped. He couldn't see it anymore, or she couldn't see it. So it started heading in our direction because we live north of Chicago. So then I'm like, okay, if Chicago, we're 63 miles away from Chicago. So I'm like, what sightings do we have? So I looked and I saw Wisconsin sightings, August 7th, 2021. Now this is very close to us. I mean, very close, you'll understand in a minute. So there was 2 witnesses. They were cleaning up trash after a concert by the main stage. They saw a large winged demon-like creature at the Wisconsin State Fairground, which is in Milwaukee County. They said it was 7 feet tall with glowing, here's the thing though, they said it had glowing yellow eyes. But it was coal black, so the black color, like they've been saying the Mothman is. And they said it had a 12-foot wingspan. They said it was a similar account description from Point Pleasant and Chicago. They said the entity took a few unsteady steps towards the stage. Then it like turned its head and saw these 2 workers and kind of like flapped its wing a few times to get some airflow and stretch it out or whatever. And all of a sudden the solid wings were large, unfolded behind itself, and slapped up into the air and into the sky. And they lost sight of it. It was swallowed up in the darkness of the night. And people
I find hard to believe because down at State Fair, you've got hundreds of lights on.
Right. And they were saying it was by the parking. Okay, but I don't know. Okay, main stage is they now have parking on the racetrack.
Yeah.
So if this thing was looking at the main stage, that means that they have to be on the racetrack side. I mean, we have parking all around State Fairgrounds, the north side of it, in the neighborhoods and everything else. But main part that you can park now is on the racetrack. And for those of you that are wondering what racetrack, we're talking about the Milwaukee Mile. And so, they're on that side. That whole thing is lit up.
Yeah.
Because don't they even have, isn't that the carnival side too? Where we have the carnival on the north side?
Yeah.
No. The carnival's further down. If they're
Is it?
talking about, if they're talking about the stage is all the way towards the entrance of the state fair.
Okay. So I'm trying to think because it's been a while since I went to the state fair. It's over by like the big buildings, the ones that they have like the camping shows and the whatever other.
Yeah, it's by the expo center.
Yes, thank you. But even still, that whole thing is all lit up. Like really lit up. And they said that this thing was looking at the people that were cleaning up on the stage and moving the equipment. So that means, it's the concert's done, but these guys still have to see something. So they got to have some kind of lights on the stage. I've never really stayed after.
When were they cleaning, I guess, is the thing, because the thing closes at midnight.
Right.
So are we talking 2 a.m.? Are we talking right at midnight?
That it didn't say. It just said that they were cleaning up after, it was the fairground workers were cleaning up the trash up after a concert by the main stage. But, they have concerts all the time on the main stage. So they have them like mid-afternoon and evening and whatever else. Or at least
I'm assuming it's the night concert.
Yeah. Well, they said it was night. It flew up into the sky into the night. So then they lost track of it.
Okay. My only thought is maybe people wouldn't see it if it was like middle of the night cleaning crew.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just saying like, well, it was after the concert, well, the concert ends right before summer or state fair closes.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking 11, 12 o'clock. I mean, how does nobody else see that? That's
right.
Crazy.
Right. Granted, by
Well,
that
they
time,
have those big balloons too. It could have been some kid letting his balloon go.
Right.
Right. But they're saying like it was on the stage.
Yeah, it was like looking at it wasn't on the stage, but it was looking at the people on the stage. So it was like in the grounds itself. So okay, how do they have the stage? They have like they have the stands on the east side by the racetrack, the grandstands. Because the stage is facing the back of the stage is facing the fair itself.
The back of the stage is facing the parking lot. The
Right.
front of the stage
That's
is
right.
facing
That's right. So
bleachers.
it's the opposite. So yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Because the bleachers are on the side of the fairgrounds.
Okay,
So
so this article is saying is it appeared to be staring directly at the stage where there were still people breaking down equipment from the earlier concert.
mhm,
So it sounds like this thing was more in the stands looking that direction.
right.
And there's more people there.
Yeah.
If it's really 7 feet tall and a wingspan of 12 feet, you two are really the only ones that saw that.
Right.
And no pictures were taken. I mean, this supposedly happened 2 years ago.
Yeah.
They took their cell phones out instead of clicking away. I mean, if I saw something weird like that, I'm bringing my phone out and I'm taking pictures.
Right. I mean, they had that thing. Sorry, people X-rated on this part, but there was these people that were having sex at the state fairgrounds, and everybody took out their cameras and they were filming them, and they're going to town by the livestock area. Yes, it was weird. It is not a normal Wisconsin thing. I'm very sorry for our listeners, but these two were very sick people. But yeah, I mean, everybody, like I said, everybody brought out their cameras for that, and you're going to see this creature and you're not going to pull out your camera.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't know.
However, I will say that when that happened, because it made the news, and I just thought about it. I was like, man, that's the first time I ever even heard anybody talk about Mothman since I saw the movie.
Though, I found, and I'm going to post it on our Facebook page. I found a map. There's a map that they have of Mothman, and it has our area, and it has on there like 2020, 2019, 2018, 2017, 2021. And they'll tell you like red-eyed wing demon like thing, bulky person, black humanoid figure, 7 feet tall, red-eyed, and different thing. Air traffic control saw this thing. Airline pilot saw this thing. These are like, you can click on it and it tells you what each of these sightings, and these are going from like at some point it looks like Gary, Indiana, all the way up to like Madison area. So Gary, Indiana to Madison, Wisconsin. There's like a whole slew of things, and you can click on each year and it'll tell you about its sightings. I didn't know that was a thing either, but it's just like, you call 911 and you tell them you see a UFO, and they have an actual hotline for that they'll give you a number and they document it and everything. So apparently they're doing the same thing with Mothman.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did your husband ever get any of these weird things when he was a dispatcher?
Not this weird, because he would have totally told me about that.
I don't know. I don't get it, but I mean, there's some weird things out there. I know there's these, cryptids and stuff like that, but it seems like there's maps of everything that is out there. I'm sure there's probably a map out there for Bigfoot.
Oh yeah, several of them.
Stuff. Yeah. So who knew that, there was all these sightings of Mothman. But then Debbie, you were talking about Facebook. Was it Strange Wisconsin page?
Yeah.
And they have sightings on there. I think I saw one on there about Mothman not too long ago. And they were talking about it was located somewhere here in Wisconsin, like southeast central Wisconsin area. But
Yeah, I didn't see that one.
yeah, I don't, it was a couple weeks ago that I saw it, but, um, you know, are these people seeing the same thing? Or like you said, is it some kind of creature that we haven't, you were saying, Debbie, that it could be a prehistoric creature that we haven't seen.
You know, because when you see, like if you go to the museum or whatever, you know, they have these humongous life-size birds that have long legs and wingspans, like, you know, half a mile
Mm-hmm.
with long beaks, and you never know.
Didn't they, there's a picture of what, Civil War guys or 1800s, um, somewhere in the 1800s where it was like the Thunderbirds, but it looks like a pterodactyl. There's a picture, and I don't know if it's a real picture or if they like photoshopped it since then, but they claim that this was what they saw, and they took a picture, and there's like this giant pterodactyl type thing that they call the
Yeah.
Thunderbird. And these guys, there's like 10 guys from, you know, the one wing to the other, the end of the other wing, and they're all standing with this pterodactyl thing.
Pterodactyl.
Look, bedrock was real at some point. There was a dino.
I suppose.
Childhood. Stop judging me.
I would say of the cryptoids, Mothman is one of the ones that it's a fun legend, but it's always going to be one for me that it's like cute story, but I'm never going to go with it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, so we were talking about the TNT bunkers out there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we had people that were on our team that went out there, and they got some EVPs from the bunker. And I don't know. I don't know if it was supposed to be I've never heard them say Mothman talks, but these were EVPs, and he had a foul mouth. He was dropping the F-bombs and stuff like that. So I'm assuming it had something to do with World War II people that were there, or some people that had died somewhere on the land. And I'm not saying that it was a Mothman, because like I said, I have never heard them say that Mothman talks. I mean, there's people that say that Mothman has followed them home. And that, you know, there's police officers that have seen the Mothman. I forgot where it was, but there's an article that I saw that these police officers were called into like an apartment type complex, and these people saw this creature sitting at the top of the building, kind of just crouched there, kind of like a gargoyle kind of thing, I guess. And they would shine their light up on there, and this black creature with the wings and the red eyes was there, and then it flew away and it was gone. And the cops were like, do we report this? Like, do we actually write a report on this, or do we say that nothing happened and it was just a false report? But they're like, we saw this, so we're not sure what to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that they're not credible, but
Right. If it were true,
mhm.
which story would you go with? That he is an omen for bad things to happen, since he seems to be sighted where something bad happens? Or is he a cause of said bad things?
I guess if he was real, I would say like an omen of something bad happening. Because they even say that he's like part of, like, they've seen him by Chernobyl, because we talked about Chernobyl,
Mhm.
with animals being, you know, not mutated, but yet mutated by the radiation that is leaked all over the place. And they're not the same animals that they were years ago. They've mutated their DNA is mutated. So I could see it being like a bad omen, like, you know, this this thing shows up when, there's going to be a natural disaster or something like a plane's going to crash or whatever. Could it be a part of like we've got the Bermuda Triangle in Lake Michigan? Could it be that, or is it part of that thing? I don't know. Just kind of, I'm pulling on this one. I'm stretching this one really deep here.
Yeah.
Could he be flying in and out of a portal? I mean, we're paranormal investigators. We talk about these things, I know that, you're a skeptic there. Yeah, Debbie. It's okay.
I'm going to go with my prehistoric creature.
But okay, so work with me on this one, the portal thing. Okay.
Yeah.
They talk about time travel. Like people have talked about where they're walking in the street and then the next minute they're in this 1956. And they look the same, but everything around them is totally changed. And then they're back to, a little while later, they're back to 2023. So could there be some kind of dimensional portal that this thing flies in and out of, and that's why they're seeing it so sporadically? Could it be flying in from the prehistoric time into our area, and then it's kind of like what was that movie, Center of the Earth, where they go in and there's this whole nother world below us. Or I know I'm reaching here again, Thor, the first Thor, she throws her keys and it goes into a different dimension, and then they're able to throw the keys back and they can start the car and all that stuff. I know I'm really stretching on this one, really reaching. But scientifically, is it possible?
I think anything's possible. I mean, it could be possible.
Because we talk about it in the paranormal field of like EVPs and ghosts and stuff like that we see, spirits that we see, is possibly one dimension flipping into another dimension. So they always say that what we do now, there's another us somewhere else doing the complete opposite. Or that thought that I'm going to, go to school. It's like the game of life. I'm going to go to school. I'm going to do nighttime school or whatever. I'm going to go to school, or I'm going to get in my job. So you got that fork in the road. So one of you decided that you're going to go to school. The other one decided I'm going to go to work. There's that, so could it be that that's what happened, that it flipped into our plane from its plane?
Possible.
Can't say it's not possible. Is it something I would believe like right offhand? Probably not, but can't say it's not possible.
Mm-hmm. But it's something that
odd.
People could debate that it could happen.
Right.
I mean, like you said, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
They show like videos all the time. And I know it's a video. But people that are walking in a street and then like there's a semi that comes by and they're just all of a sudden they weren't there and then they're there. Could it be spliced? Yes. But could it actually happen? Possibly. There's like people that are, sleepwalking and then all of a sudden they're in a different area and they don't remember how they got there.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we're paranormal investigators. So people think that, spirits aren't real and, we're trying to figure out what happens when we're gone. Do we still exist? We're all made of mass. It cannot be destroyed. It can only change because we're energy. So there's the possibility that there is that portal that Mothman comes and flies in, flies out.
Well, they say the same thing about Bigfoot too, that he comes in through a portal. And that's why when people see him, it's like 2 seconds later, they can't find him.
Right.
So.
I know they talk about cloaking for him too. Or it. I don't know about that one. Bigfoot cloaks. And they that's why you don't see them very well. And I'm like, but aren't they just camouflaged by the fur and blending in with their surroundings?
Mm-hmm.
I thought about that. I was driving through Kettle Moraine today and I was like, huh. I even told my boys yesterday because my boys were talking about that. They were camping. And I'm like, well, you guys are up in Kettle Moraine area and we've had reports of Bigfoot sightings up here. Maybe you'll see Bigfoot. They just sat there and looked at me like, yeah, sure. Right, Mom.
Well, this coming weekend is the Bigfoot conference in Michigan that we're going to. So.
Oh, that's this weekend?
Yep.
Ooh, that's exciting for you. You've been waiting for that for a while.
And we're going to go ATVing looking for Bigfoot.
Oh.
I don't think we'll see him, but it'll be fun.
Yeah.
As Leah's going, she's lost her mind.
Bigfoot is one of the cryptoids that I think might have something to it. And I'm not quite sure why I believe that. I just do. I don't know if it's necessarily Bigfoot. I just think there's something that has been seen. It's been too many sightings, too many years that they can't just be nothing.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, I know we're talking about Mothman. Now we're kind of going to Bigfoot. Bear with us, people. I'm sure with it. We kind of get off topic if you haven't noticed that. It's just us. But you look at Bigfoot and he's like I keep saying he, it, she, they, them, whatever. They're like the connection between us and the apes. They're like, are they the missing link? Because they're they're always looking for that missing link, and they look ape-like in some forms, but they also look human. I don't know.
Good thought.
Like you said, it's not that hard to think that they do exist. Because, we have really tall people nowadays, too. When you think back to just 100 years ago, you can see how short people were then, but it's kind of like that evolution. I always talk about like our intelligence. We have like our smart periods and our dumb periods. And I think we're in our dumb period right now. But if you look back in history, it's like up and down. It's always that hills and valleys. So why couldn't they, she, Bigfoot? Why couldn't Bigfoot be in that valley that it didn't connect with the hill going up, and it just kind of stopped there for that brief moment there. And that just stayed like that, and that we don't see it that often because there's not a lot of them out there. So obviously it's been able to procreate because it's been going on for 100 years, 200 years. People have been seeing these things, if not
right.
So is it possible? Like I said, we have all these woods. There's no way that we have looked at everything on this earth and know exactly what everything has. I'm probably driving the biology people and wildlife biologists crazy right now if anybody's listening to us about it, but there's no way. I mean, it's too hard. I mean, we lose somebody in a national forest, and it takes eons to find these people if we're even lucky to find them. And that's with hundreds of people searching. And you still can't find the person. So you're telling me we know everything that's in these woods?
Well, every day some scientist is finding a new animal that hasn't been seen in hundreds of years, and all of a sudden here's this animal.
Right.
You know, so
So who's to say Bigfoot's smart enough not to be around all these crazy humans? They probably are like, you people are dumb, and I don't want anything to do with you people. So I'm gonna stay over here in my little world.
Anything to do with you people.
I'm gonna stay in my little cave and occasionally come out, look at you, going, "Yep, you people are still dumb. You're still here. All right, going back."
yeah, pretty much.
Hasn't hit you people yet. So
You people are dumb.
no, you can't make a fire out of 2 pieces of stick. What's wrong with you? You don't know how to fish with your hands. I mean, you think about it. You go back and like, okay, you go back to the Egyptians. They're making these huge, gigantic blocks and cutting it. They don't have power tools. These people were really super smart. They were even doing surgeries and stuff like that. And then what happened? We turned dumb. We can't do anything without, well, I need YouTube to tell me how to put this thing together because it came from IKEA, and I can't read the instructions because it's like very tiny and 18,000 words for one little piece, and we just turned stupid when we got all this technology around us. We haven't mentally kept up with all of it. And somehow, some way, we've lost all that. Kudos to the Amish people, because they're able to still do barn raises. And they don't use, some of them do, but most of them don't, electricity and power or anything. They do it like they did for hundreds of years. And here we are driving past our automobile going, how in the, I can't put a chair together. And these people are putting a barn together with a hammer and nails, and they're getting it done within days, and we can't do it. So Bigfoot's probably smart enough to stay away from all of us, and they're like, oh, here they are, and here's the idiot tourists with their cameras out again, and snappy picture because it's something that you haven't seen before.
Yep.
I'll just sit there and like keep on walking. I'm not saying that every Bigfoot sighting is real though, because some of them are very obvious. Like, really? Did you get that from like a secondhand store or internet, and you got the big gorilla suit on, and you can see that your eyeballs are in there? And so I'm not saying that everything is true on that one, but
no,
it's just. There was, and I gotta write these things down. There was something I saw on the internet, and it was like this giant footprint on the side of a wall, like on a rock. And this guy was standing next to it, and the thing was as big as him. And they were talking about these giants that used to roam the earth. You think about it, prehistoric days, you're looking at some of these things, and they're like huge. We have nothing on this earth that looks like that nowadays. So who is to say the humans didn't look that big back then? It's a possibility. So then these big feet creatures are part of that, and they just never really evolved into the people that we are.
I could go with that theory.
Yeah. But then
back to Mothman.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody in this room right now think Mothman's real?
As much as I'd like to say yes, no.
No.
I think it's a cute, like you said, a cute little thing. I like my little stuffed animal. He's very cute. Not much to him. Little red eyes and all black fur and the little wings. Very cute. But no. And I don't go with the theory that doctor said either, that it was like the sandhill crane.
Mm-hmm.
Because crane, what crane looks like the size of a human? I mean, I know they have those, oh, what are those things called? They're like these prehistoric birds. They look like something from Harry Potter. They've got like a big bill. Oh, I cannot think of the name of these things. I can see it. It's like gray and it's about the same size as a man. And you have to sit there, like you have to bow to it and it will bow back at you. But they say it's a prehistoric bird that still is around.
Are those the birds that they fly and play Quidditch with? Quidditch?
No, are you talking about the phoenix?
No. It's what is this thing called? I got it right here. Oh, shoebill. I don't know how I didn't remember shoebill.
Oh, those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're prehistoric. I mean, they're big, but come on now, their legs are chicken legs. Even though he's the size of a human, he's got chicken legs.
Have you seen his beak though?
Yeah.
I'm not trying to piss him off.
No. And like there's a picture of him with his wings out and everything, and still, I mean, he's a just looking. I don't know if anybody can. There he is.
Yeah.
He just looks mean, but I wouldn't want to mess with him.
Yeah, no.
See, right here. There's the that's
Yeah,
what this is out. But he's got chicken legs. He's got these little tiny thin legs. So I mean, that doesn't look like a human's leg. Unless the human was anorexic. Sorry, people. I don't mean to. But I mean, they're thin. So, I mean, here's the. Oh, wait, there it is.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just feel like he would just open his mouth and probably swallow me whole.
Right. But, and I don't know if that's where J.K. Rowling got the one that Harry Potter sits on. What is that? The hypocrite? Sorry, Harry Potter people. The bird thing that looks like a horse and a bird, and he sits on it and rides it and whatever. And, you have to bow to it and it bows back and then go up to it. Same thing with this. You have to bow to him and then you can go over by him and, he bows back at you or whatever. And then it's okay. And he's fine with you, but you have to show that you respect him and then you can go near him. But looking at him, like you said, that bill of his, no. I mean, he doesn't terrify me like a spider or a snake would, but Big Bird there can like take a big old chompa wampa out of my leg and I'm gonna be crying for like ever. I don't want that. So I'll watch him at a zoo if he's there from a distance, but you're not gonna sit there and see me going up to him and bowing and hope to God he's gonna bow back at me, because if I didn't curtsy enough to him like I would for the queen or the king, I don't know how I disrespected him. So no thank you. But yeah, I don't know how they would think. I could see that more than a sandhill crane because he's bigger. So I don't know. I don't know where Mr. Dr. Robert got his information for that to be Mothman. But seeing that thing though, what else is out there that it could be something big, and that's what people are seeing. And it just so happens that it's like Bigfoot. You don't see it that often. But as far as actual Mothman, the way that they make him look at Point Pleasant. I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I'm sure these people are like, yeah, this is exactly what he looked like. And I swear to God, this is what we saw. We weren't drinking. We weren't on any kind of drugs. We weren't hallucinating. This is what we, honest to God, saw. Then so be it. But I mean, like I said, I wasn't there, but I don't know if that's an actual thing. I'd be interested if anybody saw it, like, and has pictures of it. I'd be interested to see that and see what they actually saw. Because when you look at the statue, it looks like a bug's head when you look at the statue itself.
Sure.
So, but I don't know, the pictures that people draw, it's just like this black, like, I don't know, like a drawing of like a little kid would make of a scary person that they saw coming out of their closet with red eyes and like had its wings out. So, not to get biblical, but is it a fallen angel? People say they see like angels and stuff like that. I don't know.
I don't know if I'm going to go there.
I'm really reaching this episode. I'm like trying for every little thing I can to pull and make it
Kind of are, yeah. But I can see why. I get it.
I'm trying to get all the angles on this.
Yeah.
It's not working out very well, but I'm trying.
The way I see it is if you have to stretch and reach kind of far, it's probably not a thing.
Right. Like, I don't have to reach that far in the paranormal world as far as the spirits go.
Right.
Because, we've got a lot more evidence with that versus people that have been following Mothman. Maybe they have evidence like we have to prove to people that there is spirits out there and stuff like that, that we're hunting these ghosts, as people would say. Granted, we're not hunting. You don't see guns on us or anything like that, or traps. Ghostbusters doesn't actually exist, people. I'm very sorry. Dan Aykroyd made up a great story with the whole plasma thing and the traps and crossing the streams, and that's not a thing though. They only want to communicate when they want to communicate, and they'll show themselves if they want to show themselves. And you're probably like, yeah, okay, well, isn't that the same as Mothman? Yes, right. But we have thousands and thousands of teams in the world that do paranormal hunting. And there's more information out there for spirits than they are for Mothman. And I'm not saying that there isn't groups out there that only do cryptids, because they do. There's teams out there that just do cryptids. Paranormal is an umbrella term. So there's lots of things that go underneath that term. But our specialty is ghost hunting, paranormal research, stuff like that, ghost investigating. Theirs is cryptid investigating, because you see it on TV. They got the what is that, Debbie? The Bigfoot hunters. Have you seen those?
Bigfoot,
yes.
Bigfoot.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the one you hear a lot about. I mean, you don't hear a lot going on with like the Loch Ness Monster or Mothman or Thunderbirds. You're getting more skinwalkers. But then to Skinwalker Ranch, we've talked about them before. That's more of paranormal. That's more UFO stuff that they see out there nowadays. It seems like not so much the actual skinwalkers as in the indigenous people talk about. But there are people that are out there, actually investigating skinwalkers. There's people that in our area that do the Beast of Bray Road.
Also not true, but go on.
Yeah. But there's teams that are out there that just do that as well. You know, and yeah, Scott's gone out there thousands of times picking up patients, and he always goes down Bray Road, and he's like, I haven't seen squat, and I'm there morning, noon, night, you name it. I've been there at different times of day, and I'm not saying people in Elkhorn do not have a monster out there. There's a possibility. There's always a possibility that it's out there, but not a lot of people have seen it, kind of like Mothman. But it brings people in. It gets, that's the thing that's nice for Point Pleasant, because it's a small town, it's a little community, but because of the nostalgia of Mothman, it's bringing in a lot of revenue to that little town, which is great for those people. I mean, I don't know a lot of towns that are under 5,000 people that live there that have the revenue that comes in for them.
Right.
They've got people coming from all around the world. So, I mean, it's working for them. So kudos to them for having that work for them. If it's getting people to come into your little town, then great. You do what you have to do to survive these days.
Right.
And that's kind of what Elkhorn does here in Wisconsin. They have Beast of Bray Road. And that brings in revenue, not as much as Mothman does for Point Pleasant. I don't think they've embraced it as much. But still, also here in Wisconsin, in Rylander, they got the Hodag.
Yeah, they do.
And they've got, that thing is like, they've got their own festival for that too. They got their own museum. I now see them at Paracon all the time on the different Paracons. They've got the store. I believe they have like a house now that you can stay at, and it's decorated in Hodag decor. They make money off of that. They now have like, not Legos, but I'm assuming it's like, what's the other one? They're like Legos, Mega Bloks. I think it's them. They have one of those as a Hodag, and now they got a bobblehead I've seen lately. But it's bringing in revenue for them. Rylander, again, is not a big town. It's way up north. We're in Wisconsin, so people think of us here in southeast Wisconsin being up north, but of course we that live here don't see that. Our up north is like north side of Wisconsin, close to the Upper Peninsula for Michigan and Canada. That's north for us. But those of you down south, we northerners, you look at us as we live in the northern woods. Well, we don't. I mean, you come around here and we're farmlands, but even still, we have cities, and this area is very populated with the cities that are, at least 100,000, if not more. Not to say we don't have little towns too, but we're not in a little tiny town with pine trees all around us, and there's only like a couple thousand people that live there. So again, that brings revenue for them, and it works for them, which great. I mean, I wish we could have something around here that would bring in that kind of revenue for the towns around here. I mean, I wish Elkhorn would be able to populate their town a little bit more with their beast, but I don't know. It hasn't happened much. They have the one house that has the beast. It's like a carving out of a tree carving of the beast. So, I mean, they do have the Beast of Bray Road. It's just a wood carving. But they're saying no, that area is more of like Skinwalker Ranch. It's like the Midwest Skinwalker Ranch. I don't know, but that's what they say. They say that that's where they're seeing a lot of UFOs and stuff. So,
Well, yeah, I can see that.
I mean, I keep looking to the skies and looking for that UFO, but I still haven't seen it. But I see a lot of light pollution, but
Sure.
and occasionally, like last night, we saw the Big Dipper at your house.
Yeah.
See some stars, but not like you can, out west or up north and in less populated areas, because we have Chicago and Milwaukee light pollution. So unfortunately, we don't get to see the stars like everybody else does. But I don't know. Like you were asking, I don't know. I personally don't think that Mothman is what they say it is. Yes, I am wearing my Mothman shirt just because we're talking about Mothman, and I have my Mothman little stuffed animal over here. But again, that's just because we're talking about it. Otherwise, this goes in the closet, and the little Mothman over there goes in the hutch, and I pull him out maybe for Paracon. That's about it. That's only because I got it there too. So yeah, I don't know. What do you people think out there? Do you guys think that Mothman is real? Have any of you actually seen Mothman? I'd like to know. I'd like to hear. Leah, you say no.
I'm going to go with no. But it'd be cool to hear if somebody else had an actual experience. I would be interested in hearing about that.
Yeah. And, like we said, it's always a possibility.
Right. Not going to diss the possibilities. I just personally don't have anything to go off of other than it's a cute story. Just like the Hodag is a cute story, was proven to be a hoax, and we still celebrate it. We still have their festivals. They're all about the Hodag up there. I go up there every year. The Hodag is awesome. Cool story. Mothman could be a cool story, but if somebody has something out there that they want to comment in or send an email or something and be like, hey, wait a minute, I got a story for you. It might change your mind. Cool. We'll hear about it.
Right. Well, ladies, and yes, it's been a ladies' night, people. All the ladies. Woo, here we are. So next week we're going to be talking some other stuff. I don't remember what we're talking about. Do you guys remember what we're talking about next week?
Oh, goodness, no.
I don't either.
I could come up with something.
Probably. I mean, I have a whole list of different topics. I just don't remember what it is. So I guess you guys are going to have to stay tuned to next week to find out what we're going to talk about. Thank you all for listening to us. I sent out, that I can tell you, I sent out a message to the team about how many people listen to us. And I am shocked and in awe of the love and support that we are getting from the communities, not only here but around the world. Yes, ladies, we are international, and that's awesome. So we're gonna say goodbye. It was fun. It was entertaining, educational, like normal. I love it. So for our skeptics, keep us grounded. For our believers, keep believing. Ladies, I will see you guys later. Debbie, you have an awesome time next week.
Yes. I am going to.
Yeah, yes. We want to hear about that. So
I'll bring one home.
Yeah.
I
don't know. If it's like Harry and the Hendersons, then yes.
Okay.
But if it's not, I don't know. I don't know if they're trainable.
I don't think so.
That'd be awesome to have one as a butler, though. So, all right, ladies.
Night night.
Bye.
Bye.